Hi, this is Will with Spiritual Clarity on this dreary, dark day. I guess I need one of those ring lights to talk about a foundational tool that I've been using for years called Who Does This Belong To, which I got from Access Consciousness, and especially Dane here and his videos all about it. And this video is going to be diving into that for anyone who's new to the tool, but for anyone who's experienced with the tool, I have a slightly different take on it that I think will be very, very valuable, and a personal story to kind of show the power of using this tool. So who does this belong to? The basic concept is that most of our stuff, most of our negative beliefs, our crappy patterns, don't actually belong to us. They belong to someone else, and we just picked them up. Almost like we're vacuum cleaners, energetic or emotional vacuum cleaners, just sucking up a whole bunch of stuff. We think it's our dirt and our crap, but it's not. It belongs to other people, and we can just energetically return it to sender with love and consciousness attached. Just as if you got a letter in your mailbox and it stank really badly, but it wasn't addressed to you, you would just write RTS on the letter and the post person will come and pick it up and return it to sender, and you wouldn't have to deal with it. But what most of us do, especially healers and coaches and therapists, we take that stinky envelope into our house. It's not even meant for us. We take it, we put it in our house, and then our entryway or our room stinks horribly. And then we start thinking it's our problem. And so we shower every single day, and we do lots of self-care, and we clean the whole house, and we look at our emotional. It's not any of those. It just doesn't belong to you. It's just not even your thing. Just return it to sender. It has nothing to do with you. But we've identified with it if we've had it for too long. So that's the basic process and idea. So what you can do with that is when you realize, oh, this anger in this moment, it's not even mine. It belongs to that guy that I passed on the street, belongs to my dad, my mom, whoever. Would I be willing to return that to sender with love and consciousness attached? There's the energy twitching. So you don't have to heal it. It's not yours to fix or heal or change or shift. It just doesn't belong to you. And yes, you are just giving it back to that person. You're not transmuting it. You're not giving it to the divine to transmute so that they don't have to deal with it. You are actually giving it back to that person, but with the consciousness attached so that they can become aware of that pattern themselves and they can change it if they choose. But you're not healing it on their behalf. You're not healing it for them or with them. You're not even helping them necessarily. You're just giving it back. You're just a mirror to reflect it back to them energetically. And you never even have to talk to them about it or call them or anything like that. So that's the basic process. Now, where I differ a little bit in this and my unique take on this is if I'm doing energy work, for example, with a client, or if I'm doing a distance session with someone or doing a distance clearing for a group that I'm running, and I happen to take on some of their crap, then I can use this return to sender, but I can only take on the crap if I have a belief about it myself. So let me break this down a little bit. And if you don't do any energy work at all, this may all be out of left field, but bear with me. So if I'm doing a group clearing or distance energy session, or even working with a client online or in person, and then afterwards I notice, oh, I'm really angry, or I'm really upset, or I'm really depressed, or I'm having this belief that it's not going to matter what I do. I'm powerless to change my life or my business, or I can't make enough money, whatever it is, whatever the pattern is. So on the one level, yes, I just took on that client's stuff. It doesn't belong to me at all. So I can return to sender with love and consciousness attached. But on the other level, I have found, especially the deeper I go on this crazy journey, I can only take that on if it has triggered a belief that I already have. So let me give you an example about that. So this is why I find it's more powerful to do the return to sender and to look and see, did that trigger a belief within me, or did I just take on someone else's stuff and it's not mine at all? So let me give you a story to illustrate. So years ago, I used to deal with depression. And it was pretty bad. I was never diagnosed with depression from a doctor, but if you had seen me on the worst days, you would have thought it looked like clinical depression on those days. But it definitely wasn't clinical depression. I want to make sure I'm responsible about that. So I had a lot of help, a lot of support, but there were definitely days where I was not only down in the dumps, but where I was despondent, useless, laid on the couch all day long, watching movies, completely hiding and disassociating from life. And I would still go to work because I worked at a restaurant. I could manage to serve tables and pretend, and then I would just crash the second that I walked out the door. A lot of anger, a lot of powerlessness. So, Looking at my nutrition helped a great deal. Looking at my emotional balance helped a great deal. Getting better rest and better, not having blue light on all the time. All these things help to lay a foundation. But it wasn't until I found energy work and belief clearing, and especially this tool of who does this belong to, that things really started to change. So I remember I was living in Toronto at the time, a big city, and I was doing all this work. And I remember one day I was in a really great mood, and I'm walking down the street, and I'm walking down in my neighborhood of Roncesvalles. And I walk down the street, and I all of a sudden start feeling really funky and really off and really weird and depressed. I can feel it's the beginning stages of a depressive episode coming on. I think, but this is weird. The sun is shining. The birds are singing. I'm feeling all right. This is great. What the heck's going on? This isn't me. And I realized, right. Who does this belong to? And I realized about 3 blocks back, I had passed a guy who was angry, and we happened to but we happened to make eye contact. And, and I realized I had picked up his crap. He was dealing with something, and I took on his stuff. So I did the return to sender, shifted like a dream. It was amazing. I did that for I think it was about 2 years. And as I addressed the beliefs as well, that were at the core of it all, the beliefs about being powerless, the beliefs about I'm such a effing loser, how could I be so stupid, all of the inner critic stuff and all of that, then it could finally actually shift. And now it's been 4 years since I've had a depressive episode. So that's the power of this. And I'll never forget, it was the very last day that I had that I almost had a depressive episode. I was downstairs here in our still new home. We've been here 3.5 years. It was the first winter. And I was doing work early in the morning, and I saw a deer run in front of the window out in the fresh snow. It was beautiful. And yet I had my head in my hands, depressed, just getting more and more in a funk. Couldn't do work. It was only, I think, 10 a.m. It was early. And I thought, well, I must have got it from someone else. I thought, well, I'm in the middle of the countryside. There's no one else around. I couldn't get it from someone else. It must be me. It must be my thing. What's been triggered? And I couldn't see what it was. And then I remembered, I did leave the house today. I went to the chiropractor first thing this morning. And at the chiropractor was an older gentleman, and he was sighing these heavy, loud, moaning sighs. And I realized that I had taken on some of his stuff, whether it was depression or whatever it was, but it was triggering the beginning of depression in me. So I did the return to sender with love and consciousness attached. I yawned a whole bunch, twitched a whole bunch, which is part of what happens when energy moves for me. Sat up straight, and I got back to work. And that was the last time that I was on the precipice of a real episode to do with depression. So that's the tool. It's who does this belong to? You look and you see, can you identify specifically who it is? If you can't, just use the return to sender anyways with love and consciousness attached. And if that one keeps coming up, if it's always around the same theme or topic, and especially if you are an energy healer or a therapist or coach and you keep taking on your client's stuff, please, 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 please look at what's the theme, what's the belief, what's that deeper thing that has you constantly taking on. Do you believe that you need to help them or fix them? That's the helper's paradox. You can see my other videos about that. Do you have a belief that, you don't have any choice in the matter? You have to take on other people's stuff. Do you have a belief that you're an empath and again, you have no choice? You always take on people's stuff. Do you have a belief, whatever the belief is, if you don't address that, you're just going to have to keep redoing the tool. Now, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's a very quick tool to use. And I would encourage you to look, what's the deeper belief that's been triggered? So I hope this has been helpful. This is Will from My Spiritual Clarity. Have an amazing day. I hope it's sunnier where you are. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.